In the land of Uz, surrounded by rolling hills and endless desert, lived Job, a man whose name was spoken with respect and admiration. He was a figure of unwavering integrity and deep faith, known to all who dwelled in that ancient region. Job was blameless and upright, a man who turned away from evil and sought to do what was right in every circumstance. His character was a shining example to his family and neighbors alike. His wealth was legendary. He owned thousands of sheep, camels, oxen, and donkeys, and his household was vast, filled with many servants and workers who depended on his leadership. Yet above all his riches, Job cherished his family. His 7 sons and 3 daughters were his greatest joy, and he loved them with a father's fierce devotion. Every morning Job would rise early to offer sacrifices on behalf of his children, praying earnestly for their forgiveness and righteousness, always concerned for their spiritual well-being. His life overflowed with generosity. He gave freely to the poor, cared for widows, and welcomed orphans into his home, never turning away those in need. Job's reputation for justice, kindness, and compassion spread far beyond Uz. People traveled from distant lands to seek his counsel and learn from his wisdom. He was a pillar of his community, respected for his humility and insight. Elders and youth alike looked to him for guidance, and his words brought peace to many troubled hearts. Everything Job touched seemed to prosper. His fields yielded abundant harvests, and his home was filled with laughter and gratitude for every blessing received. Job's days were marked by peace and contentment, his nights restful and secure. His heart overflowed with thankfulness for the life he had been given. He lived not in pride, but in deep reverence for God, always humble before the Creator, who had blessed him so richly. Job's life was the very picture of harmony, prosperity, and divine favor, a testament to faith, generosity, and the blessings that come from living righteously. Suddenly, disaster struck Job's world, shattering the peace and prosperity he had long known. In a single day, everything changed for him. Raiders swept in from the wilderness, stealing his oxen and donkeys, and mercilessly killing the servants who tended them. The news came like a thunderclap, leaving Job reeling. Before he could recover, fire fell from the sky, perhaps lightning or a supernatural blaze, consuming his sheep and the shepherds watching over them. The devastation was swift and total. Then Chaldean raiders attacked, seizing his camels and slaying even more of his loyal servants. Each messenger brought tidings worse than the last. In mere moments, Job's great wealth, his livestock, his livelihood, vanished, leaving only emptiness and loss behind. Then, the most devastating blow of all, a mighty wind struck the house where his children feasted, collapsing it and killing every one of them. Job's heart broke under the weight of such sorrow. Grief overwhelmed Job. He tore his robe and shaved his head in mourning, following the ancient rituals of sorrow and loss. Yet instead of cursing fate or lashing out in anger, he fell to the ground in worship, humbling himself before God. "Naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked I shall return. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord," Job declared, his voice trembling with pain but steady in faith. Even as his world crumbled around him, Job's faith endured. He stood steadfast, refusing to let despair consume him. He did not curse God, nor did he turn away in bitterness. Instead, he held fast to his belief, trusting in a purpose beyond his understanding. Job's trust in God remained unbroken, even when all else was lost. In the ashes of his former life, his faith became his only refuge. Job's suffering deepened as disease struck his body. Cast out, he sat among ashes, scraping his sores. 3 friends, Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar, came to comfort him, but their words stung. Eliphaz insisted suffering was punishment for sin. Bildad blamed Job's children. Zophar accused Job of arrogance. They urged him to confess hidden sins, believing only the wicked suffer. Their counsel, meant to help, only deepened Job's isolation. They could not accept that suffering might come to the innocent. Job's pain was now doubled by loss and by the misunderstanding of friends. Job found no comfort in his friends' words. He knew he was innocent and cried out to God for answers. "Show me why you contend with me," he pleaded, longing for a hearing before his Creator. Job's questions were raw. Why do the innocent suffer? Where is justice? He wished for a mediator between himself and God. Despite his anguish, Job's faith did not break. He clung to hope. "I know my Redeemer lives." Job's cry was not rebellion, but a desperate search for meaning in suffering. At Job's lowest point, when all hope seemed lost and his suffering was at its greatest, God answered him, not with gentle words, but from the heart of a mighty whirlwind. God did not offer Job a simple explanation for his pain. Instead, he revealed the vastness of his power and the depth of his wisdom, showing Job that some mysteries are beyond human grasp. "Where were you when I laid the earth's foundations?" God asked, reminding Job of the wonders of creation and the limits of human perspective. God spoke of the mysteries of the universe, the wildness of nature, and the intricate order of the world, things that no human could ever fully comprehend. Overwhelmed by this revelation, Job was humbled, recognizing the immeasurable vastness of God's wisdom and his own smallness in the grand design. He repented, not because of hidden wrongdoing, but for presuming he could understand or judge the ways of the divine Creator. "I have heard of you by the hearing of the ear, but now my eye sees you," Job confessed, moved by a deeper encounter with God's presence. In time, God restored Job's fortunes, blessing him with even greater abundance than before. His family, his health, and his prosperity returned. Job's faith was refined through suffering, and his life was renewed, surrounded by loved ones and the gifts of restoration. In the end, Job found a profound peace, not in receiving all the answers he sought, but in encountering the living God and trusting in his wisdom.